Good morning, third graders. Nice to see you. Hey, I am out in the tundra of my backyard in my RV reading to you from our book that we've been reading every Friday. Well, actually, every day during the school week. But I'm going to be reading to you a couple chapters today because it's Friday. And I know that you guys are all anxious to hear how the story is going on. So, we're on chapter 14. And let's see what happened last time we read. Let's see. Jessie stared down at the scruffy yellow dog. They needed a miracle. So, let's continue on. Standing outside the door to Barking Buddies the next morning, I remembered Jessie's words. Miracles do happen, I reminded myself as I pushed the door open. At least in movies and books they do. But there was no miracle waiting at Barking Buddies. Only Galen Schultz talking to Dagwood's owner, a round-faced guy with a big puppy dog eyes who laughed a lot at anything. Morning, Stevie. Galen peered at her watch, but I knew I was on time. Could you go out to the playground, dear, and do a quick cleanup? Dagwood had a little accident back there. She smiled a plumpy-lipped smile at Dagwood's owner. I just don't know what to do with that dog, he said, chuckling merrily. I've got a few ideas, I thought, as I headed to the playground. After cleaning up the mess, I came back to the office. Dagwood's owner was gone, and the phone was ringing. Galen got it. Good morning, Barking Buddies. Oh, yes. Oh, Mr. Zimmer, it's you. What? Today? Why, certainly. We'd be thrilled. Oh, yes, absolutely. Galen's eyes were bright, her cheeks flushed as she hung up. Oh, my goodness, oh, heavens, look at this place. Stevie, quickly, help me tidy up. Leopold Zimmer is coming. The dog author? I thought he was coming next week. Something's come up. Galen started bouncing around the office like a ping-pong ball, picking things up and putting them down. He has to go to Toronto next week. He'll be here in 20 minutes. Oh, will you look at this? Dog tracks all over the floor. Stevie, can you get the mop, please? I figured that a dog expert like Leopold Zimmer had probably seen dog tracks before, but I didn't argue. I found the mop in the storage room and wiped up the tracks. I also straightened the papers on Galen's desk and dusted the lamps and furniture. The whole time I was thinking, it's happening. My miracle. Leopold Zimmer's next book, the one he planned to research at Barking Buddies, was The Secret Language of Dogs. What could be more perfect? This guy spoke dog. Maybe he could talk to Swampwater, or at least listen to her. Maybe he could figure out what really happened last Sunday and get Jessie and me off the hook. I couldn't believe our luck. Here we were at the very end of our rope, and who comes along? Only the best possible person in the whole city, that's all. A dog expert. By the time the front door opened half an hour later, it was hard to tell who was more thrilled, me or Galen. Galen did all the talking, of course. Oh, Mr. Zimmer, I can't tell you how pleased we are. We were going to take the dogs out for a walk, but when we learned that we'd have your company, we put our schedule aside and... I won't bore you with the rest. Just imagine a skinny, excited dog, slurping its tongue, wagging its tail, and you'll get an idea of how Galen was acting. I, meanwhile, was studying Leopold Zimmer. I'd never seen a miracle before. He was younger than I expected, about 30, with sandy-colored hair. His front teeth stuck out just a little. He wore faded blue jeans, a white shirt, a nubbly wool vest, and a scruffy-looking tweed sports jacket. A pair of rimless glasses perched on the bridge of his nose. His smile was friendly, even if it was a bit toothy, and he was nodding cheerfully at Galen as if he agreed with every word that she said. And believe me, she said a lot of words. After what felt like 20 minutes, she finally introduced me. I decided to be cool. I've got your book right here, Mr. Zimmer, and I'm really enjoying it. That's wonderful, Leopold Zimmer shook my hand. I always enjoy meeting one of my readers. Would you like to see the dogs now? Galen motioned toward the Pooch playground. I'd be honored if you'd come along with us on our walk today, Mr. Zimmer. Oh, call me Leo, he said, holding up a hand. So much friendlier. I darted a look at Galen. Maybe Ms. Schultz could learn a thing or two from Call Me Leo, but she was already on her way to the playground. I was about to follow when the phone rang. Galen glanced back. Stevie, dear, can you get that? She and Leopold disappeared, and I grabbed the phone. Stevie, said a female voice, this is Dinny. Oh, Dinny, hi. How's your your knee? Much better. I'm not up for dog walking yet, but I am off the crutches and feeling a lot more energetic. In fact, I thought I'd drop in later and see how things are going. Is Galen there? She's with Leopold Zimmer, I said. Leopold? I thought. He wasn't coming till next week. I told her about the trip to Toronto. Oh, what a shame, said Dinny. I'll be sorry to miss him, But what am I saying? He should be around for the rest of the day. Tell him and Galen that I'll be there in an hour and a half. Stevie, wait, what's that noise? Growls, wild, noisy yips, and deep roughing barks were coming from the playground. I recognized the yips, swamp water, and the barks. Brutus, I said. Danny made a huffing noise. I knew we shouldn't have taken that dog in before he was properly trained. I explained, never mind, Stevie, it's not your problem. Tell Galen we'll discuss Brutus when I get there. Okay, I said. See you later, Danny. Bye. In the playground, Galen was huddled in a corner, giving Brutus the king-size, super-duper, heavy-duty top dog treatment. Her dark eyes flashed as she eyeballed the German Shepherd, and she scolded him in a voice that was so crisp it practically crackled. Her grip on his collar was white-knuckled, and if that dog wasn't getting the message that Galen was alpha, well, there had to be something seriously wrong with him. I sure wouldn't have argued with her. A wolf wouldn't have argued with her. Brutus acted pretty dumb at times, but I guess underneath it all, he had enough German Shepherd brains to know that he should stop annoying Galen. With a whimper of submission, he laid down at her feet. Are you all right, Mr. Leo? Galen's voice turned to butter. I'm terribly sorry. Brutus has been acting up all week. He's enrolled in obedience school next week, or we wouldn't even have him here. Perfectly all right, said Leopold, brushing himself off. Understandable. I'm a stranger, and I'm sure I have the smell of 2 Rottweilers on me. Anthony and Cleopatra, I said. Leopold Zimmer mentioned his Rottweilers in his books that he had written. He smiled that sweet, toothy smile. My, you have been reading my book. You bet, I said. I'm especially interested in the part about communication, and I was wondering if... Stevie? Galen's voice was getting a little crackly. If you have any questions, could you ask Mr. Zimmer later, please? It's time to leash your dogs. Oh yeah, sure. Galen and I leashed the dogs while Leopold Zimmer wrote some stuff in a hardback notebook with a spiral ring at the top. I tried to get a peek, but all I could make out was a few lines of careful notes. Maybe it was dog language. I was hoping, of course, to look professional and experienced in front of Leopold Zimmer, but with Dagwood in my group, I figured my chances weren't great. The surprise was that it wasn't Dagwood who caused the problem. It was Swampwater. She lay down and wouldn't move. I had to drag her over to the leashing area. Then, as soon as her leash was on, she glued herself to Brutus. Doggy love, I guess. This was getting really silly. Not to mention embarrassing in front of Leopold Zimmer. Swampwater smartened up when we got outside, trotting along in a straight line and even leading the pack, but she still managed to stay on the edge of her group, right next to Brutus, who stayed on the edge of his group. Okay, well, I could live with that. I was eager to start quizzing Leopold Zimmer about dog language, but rats. Galen was talking so much that poor Leopold couldn't get a word in sideways. On and on she went, all about the dog books she'd read, the animal behavior she observed, the courses she'd taken in animal psychology, and was she ever going to stop? Leopold Zimmer smiled and nodded, but finally he started to wear out. Telling Galen he had a particular interest in Cocker Spaniels, he moved over to my group. The spaniel's name is Sally, you say? What can you tell me about her, Stevie? You mean about her language? That's what you're researching, isn't it? The secret language of dogs? Well, Mr. Zimmer, Leo, I don't really speak dog. I mean, I can almost understand cat because I've owned a cat forever. His name is Radical, and he has plenty to say, believe me. But I was kind of hoping that you could maybe teach me a little dog. Teach you dog? He laughed. I'm afraid it's not that simple, Stevie. It's not like French or Spanish, you know. Yeah, well, okay. Obviously, I wasn't explaining very well. But what if a dog had something really important to communicate? Like if she had, I don't know, witnessed a crime or something? Could you get some facts? Leopold scratched his head. That's an interesting problem. I might not get the complete message, but I could probably get an idea. Do you have a particular situation in mind? Yeah, and it's urgent. I mean, the information inside this dog is, well, it's important. In fact, a couple of lives depend on it. Kids' lives. Their lives? Leopold seemed alarmed. Oh, the kids aren't going to die or anything, I said quickly. It's just that without this information, their lives are going to be ruined. Like totally, hopelessly, forever. They might as well be dead. I see, said Leopold with a slow nod. Well, Stevie, I'd be glad to try to help. Why don't we... But that was just about as long as Galen could stay out of our conversation. Leo, she called. Oh, Leo, have you noticed that Daphne is doing what she's doing with her teeth? Would you consider it a sign of frustrated aggression, or is it simply normally assertive canine behavior? Oh, rats. Just when Leo and I were getting somewhere. Just when my miracle was about to happen. If I'd had an apple, I would have cheerfully stuffed it whole, right into Galen's mouth. I tried to get Leopold Zimmer's attention back, but it was no use. Anyone who could top dog Brutus could certainly top person me. Galen top person Leopold, too. Every time his mouth opened, she cut him off. After a while, he gave up and he just listened. It wasn't until we were on our way back to the Barking Buddies that I remembered Dinny. Galen, I cried, interrupting her in the middle of a sentence. It was the only way. I forgot to tell you, Dinny found. She's coming over in... I looked at my watch. Half an hour. She said hi to you too, Leo. She's looking forward to seeing you again. Dinny, terrific, Leopold beamed. Did you say half an hour? Oh, what a shame. I have an appointment at a university in a half an hour. You do? Galen and I both said it at the same time, a disappointed moan. But Leo, said Galen, her face drooping, I was planning on ordering in some lunch. There's a place down the street that has wonderful cheese croissants. That sounds great, said Leo, but I really do have to run. Possibly, though. Yes? Galen and I said together. She shot me a look. Well, I might be able to come back tomorrow. Would that work? Certainly, said Galen at the same time. Couldn't you come back this afternoon? I was thinking about Deke Rifkin, who knew when he'd show up again. Maybe I didn't have until tomorrow. Leopold winked at me as he headed for his car. I'll do my best. I spent the next half hour being mad at myself. One lousy chance at a miracle, and I let it get away. Maybe if I'd jumped Galen, held her down, tied her to a tree with the dog leashes. Nah, I wasn't strong enough. Anyway, I was too nice. It's one of my problems in life. Anyway, Leopold would probably have untied her. At 11:30, Dinny limped in, doing this funny little hopping thing with her left leg, the one with the grapefruit knee. She was wearing black stretch pants, so I couldn't actually see the knee, but I could see the bulge. Even so, Dinny looked cheerful, with a red bandana around her neck and a big pink lipstick smile. Galen, Stevie, it's so good to see you. Oh, I'm sick to death of being cooped up in my house. Where's Leopold? At an appointment at the university, said Galen, a sour note in her voice. Oh, I was looking forward to talking to him. Oh well, next time. How's the knee? Asked Galen. Oh, I'm getting around, as you can see, but it will be a long time before I ride my bike along the seawall again, that's for sure. I froze. What? I croaked. The seawall is a path along the ocean. It runs around the edge of the Stanley Park, where the president's dog was stolen. And that's the end of that chapter. So, boys and girls, I will read, I'm going to read a couple times a week out of our book so that we don't have to wait so long in between chapters. But I hope you enjoyed our chapter today. Have a good Friday. Bye.